Hey everyone, welcome back to the Fantasy Forge cast. Today we're going to be talking about our past experiences with MMOs, all the ones that we liked and the ones we didn't like. And also I'd love to hear from the listeners their experience as well, what they like and didn't like. So my name is Brad and with me is Andrew. How are you doing, Andrew?
I'm doing great as always, man.
As always, huh? Also, we got Jared too. How are you doing, Jared?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to still be here.
Yeah, you're leaving in a couple weeks to go tour, right? You're in the army.
That's correct. Yeah, I was just getting at being a returning guest, but yes, I am going somewhere.
Yep. So you're never going to be on this podcast again. Good riddance. Thank God.
See you, man.
Peace out.
Hopefully I can join again.
Yeah, that'd be nice. So let's go ahead and get into it. We're talking about MMOs and our past experience with them and kind of some stories that we have. Andrew, what's an MMO that kind of influenced you the most?
Influenced me the most?
Or just whatever MMO you want to start with.
One that really stood out for sure was City of Heroes. Are you guys familiar with that one? I
am. Are you, Jared?
I never played it, no, but I had a bunch of friends who did besides you guys.
Yeah, it's just like a superhero MMO. Like you create your own superhero, you go around and do normal MMO stuff like quests and everything. It was a little different. Like there wasn't like much to the loot system because you basically just like create your costume, and then you can get like, I guess there was some extra loot that would add to your costume, but I don't know. It was just different. Like the community was more engaging, and I don't know. It just really stood out.
Why did you like it?
I liked it because I'm a huge comic book nerd. Like I love comic books and superheroes, and it made sense. Like I was waiting for this game ever since I was a little kid. Like a huge open world where you create your own superhero and you interact with everyone else and go and save the day and blah blah blah.
Yeah, I remember playing City of Heroes and I was thinking, damn, dude, everyone who's playing this game has to be a retard.
Oh, you are absolutely right, man.
I'm just kidding.
No, I mean, it was a lot of fun. I remember when I first played it, I could hardly run it because I can't remember exactly where it came. It came out in 2004, so.
Wow.
Back then, I didn't have the greatest computer.
Back then, how old were you back then? 2004?
2004?
15?
And I must have been, 14? Yeah, I was like 15.
Yeah, so you're running off your computer, your parents' computer. Exactly,
yeah. The HP Compact.
Yeah, I was about to say, your parents never went out and got an actual like nice computer. They always went to the store and like, and we're told by the guy, yeah, this E-machine's great. This E-machine,
I can run everything.
Is that the same computer you had when I first went over to your house?
Yeah, that was back in the day, man. Yep,
I remember that computer.
A lot of fond memories in that family room.
Yeah, a lot of porn. That's what he means.
Yeah, a lot of porn. I was getting at that. Yes, a lot of porn. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was either your house or you guys remember Derek Hartman?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Derek Hartman.
Yeah, he was legendary.
Yeah, I can't remember which one of the two of your houses. It was the first time I ever watched porn, but it was one of those two. So
you're welcome for me introducing you to. Well, I think it was me. I don't know. It might have been Derek. It could have been either of us.
And I don't think you should probably edit out his last name.
Yeah.
Our viewers are gonna look him up. Like, oh, Derek Hartman.
No one gives a fuck about that kid. Anyway. Well, that's kind of weird. You guys watched porn together?
I mean,
no, it wasn't like that. Okay.
You basically took his virginity. How do you feel about that?
I mean, it was more of just like, here, this is interesting. Oh, cool.
Naked girls, yeah.
Yeah, that's how it was back in the day, man.
That's exactly how it was.
Back in the AOL days.
There really wasn't a connection between looking at pictures and masturbation just yet, I don't think, at that point. This is getting really, really off topic.
Yeah, that's super off topic. But I mean, you are right. There wasn't.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, there wasn't a connection.
But anyways, as I was saying, as I was saying, um, yeah, I tried City of Heroes on my PC. Didn't work. So I got back into it probably a couple of years later when I actually had a decent gaming rig, and I played it for a while. It was a subscription, so I think I only got 30 days at first. I played it all the way through, and then after that, I took a break and went back to it when it was on Steam. But then I think a little bit later, that's when it started like getting closer to the cancellation of the game. So
closed down.
yeah, it closed down before I could even get to max level. But yeah, I had a lot of fun in it, and it's one of those games where I wish it was still up because I would still probably be playing it.
Well, they have Cape shit games still going, right?
DC Universe Online is still going, which that's another one I played. It's not as good as City of Heroes, I think, in my personal opinion. But it is there. I mean, it's still a fun game.
What's the one like ARPG Cape shit game that's absolutely terrible? Marvel Heroes?
Yeah, Marvel Heroes is canceled now.
They canceled that game? It was like some of the people that worked on Diablo 2 worked on that game.
Really? Yeah. It was very similar to Diablo, like in terms of mechanics and stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's why it got so popular, because it's like, oh, everyone who played Diablo 2, yeah, we kind of have a different spin on it, and it's the Marvel universe and stuff like that, but it's still Diablo 2 at its roots or whatever. But it totally wasn't. It was just so bad. I remember playing it because I'm a huge Diablo 2 fan.
It was a cash grab.
It really was.
It was.
Like, I grew up on Diablo 2, so seeing that game and like the people that developed Diablo 2 were on that team, it was just such a letdown.
Yeah, I agree. It could have been much more too, but they just, I don't know. I don't know why they closed it anyways.
It became a meme. That game actually became a meme.
Really?
A joke, dude. Yes. Especially in the Path of Exile community.
Yeah, okay, I can see that. It was definitely much more simple than, D2 or Path of Exile.
Yeah, and Diablo 2 was actually pretty simple if you really compare it to something like Path of Exile, but it was just so good. Like, everything about it was just so fluid and everything made sense. So, City of Heroes was one of the games that you liked a lot, right?
Yeah, definitely.
What about you, Jared? What was an MMO that kind of interested you the most, or left the biggest impression?
The first ones I played were RuneScape Classic, and then I can't honestly. I was trying to look up the dates when they released, and I can't honestly not remember if I played Guild Wars or World of Warcraft first between those two.
Oh, Guild Wars, yeah, I played that.
Guild Wars 1?
Yeah, Guild Wars 1.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked that game a lot. Besides the instance questing, and the level 20 cap was kind of shitty. But
everything in that game was instance. Yeah, it was instance. Yeah. You go up to it was hub based game. So you join up in a central hub where you see a bunch of people, and then you go out in the world and it's all 5 people only. And then they had instance PvP. I remember that.
Yeah. It was, one of the main things I really liked about it were the graphics, which is kind of basic to me to say.
Well, that game came out. Man, I
2005.
I remember reading about that game in PC Gamer magazine when I was a kid, and I was really excited for it because it looked so cool, and it was this fantasy medieval type game. And I was like, sweet. And I played it, and I was like, this doesn't feel very good.
Yeah,
it just felt so disconnected.
Right. It was fun until level 20, and then I just I don't feel like I'm a part of anything really. I just feel like I enjoyed looking at some pixels, and then I dyed my armor, and that was about it.
It's very similar to Dungeons and Dragons Online. Which, have you guys played that? Yeah,
I played that.
Nope.
Yeah, it was all instance. You have a central hub.
Another hub game.
Yep, and honestly, It was kind of fun at first. I mean, it has more of an action-ish gameplay. But yeah, the whole instance thing was just a huge turnoff because it's like if I want to do anything with anybody, I have to invite them to a group in order to go through a dungeon or through a certain area or whatever. And
Yeah, it's kind of like you're playing a single player game
exactly,
with
yeah,
other people.
yeah, and that's what it took. It takes you out of the immersion, I guess.
Yeah. But I'll throw it back here is that, yeah, it is like a single player game that you're joining with other people, but it's not advertised as that. Like there's no single player mode. Like I'll give Diablo 2 as an example. That was a single player game, but the online is what made it like what it was, you know? There was like channels that you could join, these like games you could see, there was like a lobby scroller you could join in and stuff like that, and it always felt like you were part of a group of people. You're always grouping with people, and in those games it just never felt like you were grouping with people, even though that was the whole point of it.
Yeah, it was really forced, I think. Especially, with instancing, that's just how it is,
Yeah, that's a
like,
good word.
Maybe it was just right for the time.
Possibly it saved them on costs of hardware.
Yeah,
for
for
sure.
sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, I feel like games definitely go through like an evolution, and maybe the MMO scene was kind of evolving past that after D2, and then Guild Wars came out, and they didn't really go with the flow of the evolution of online gaming.
Did you play Diablo 2, Jared?
I did, but not during release. Like I played it like right before Diablo 3 beta came out. I was getting hyped for it, and I started playing D2.
Damn, you played it long. Yeah, you played it way after that. Then,
Yeah.
man, I want to talk about Diablo 2 in like a separate episode or something, because that was the game.
Huge influence.
That was the game for me, man. Like that was the game. I played.
Yeah,
it
I'm sure it was way
release.
different for me because I played on like a local server and with only a couple people. So
Yeah, I played that at release, and
Yeah.
I'll talk about that. But they do have some cool mods for Diablo 2. There's like beside Meeting XL, which kind of rebrands the whole Diablo 2 experience, there's another one called Path of Diablo, which has a lot of Path of Exile elements in Diablo 2, and it still keeps the original Diablo 2 image. So if anyone's listening and they really like Diablo 2 and they haven't heard of that, check that out, because that's really cool. One of the community members of Path of Exile created it. It's still going strong. But we're talking about instanced MMOs, and I remember Neverwinter Nights, and I was super hyped about Neverwinter Nights.
Yep.
I was so hyped about Neverwinter Nights, and I'll say, like, you talked about the combat being good in Dungeons and Dragons Online, Andrew.
Yeah.
The combat,
it was there.
yeah, the combat in Neverwinter Nights I thought was really good. I actually really enjoyed the combat. It felt good, it felt smooth, everything, but it just felt like the world was not whole. It felt like it was just pieced.
Yeah, it was kind of in the
pieces,
parts.
that's a good way of putting it. I love Neverwinter Nights as well.
Oh, you played that?
Yeah, the original one.
I played it. It was just way later. I got it on GOG. That system or whatever.
Yeah, Green Man Gaming or something like that, right?
I thought it was Good Old Gaming.
Oh, Good Old Games. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I was thinking of something else.
And I played a little bit of it, but I liked it. I didn't play it in the multiplayer stuff though. It was just single player.
Were you talking about Neverwinter Nights 1 or 2? Because I played 2 a lot. I played like a lot of 2. I dedicated an entire summer to 2, and I was actually trying to make like custom maps and all that stuff and scripts with one of my friends, but we never ever got anywhere with it. But I played that so much, and I remember this one server that I played on. It was a custom server, and I would just go around and like scam everybody.
You're just a scammer, dude.
Yeah, so how about we talk about scamming and how stupid it is?
I know it's a touchy subject.
Let's talk about scamming. I mean, I love scamming, dude. I think it's fantastic.
It creates a lot of grief. I agree with that.
Not even the grief aspect. It's just like, why not play the game to enjoy the contents of the game. Why like try to take from other people what they've spent hard-earned hours trying to achieve?
But a counter argument is, why would you not want to screw over people?
Counter argument is that it almost mimics real life. Like it draws a different emotional response once you get scammed. If you get scammed, you're like, oh my god, like someone just took all my stuff, and I got like I got, you know. And I got scammed first. Okay, Diablo 2 was like the game that I would scam a lot in. The reason I found out about scamming is because I got scammed first, and I was like, someone scammed me, now I'm gonna scam everybody else.
I mean, like, thing about it is like, I mean, it's shitty and all, but at the same time, you know, the saying like, you fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, well, you can't get fooled again. Or fool me once, you can't get fooled
How did
again.
George Bush say it?
Yeah, I was
how did George Bush say it?
That one rap song. I'm gonna look it up.
Oh, the J. Cole?
Yeah. I tried remembering, but I fucked it up. Damn it!
But, well, you're talking about scamming, Brad. Then how did you scam people? Like, what was your thing?
In Diablo 2, there was multiple scams. There's quite a few scams that they had in the system in the game. There was, you would just, first of all, you had to do some social engineering, which means telling people that, hey, I can dupe your item. Like, I know like a secret method to dupe your item. You just have to drop your item, like go outside of town and stand next to me on the border, on like the edge of the town. Okay, so I can't pick up your item. Like I cannot in the game pick up your item. So drop your item, and then like you just tell them some like bullshit thing to type or whatever, and then they'll do it. And right when they drop your item, you have an item that has telekinesis on it, so you pick up their item. That was one popular method. The most popular method and the original method that did not involve anything from Lord of Destruction, the Diablo 2 expansion, was going out into the wild, just leaving town, killing someone, and then telling them to fill up their inventory. You filled up their entire inventory, and then you filled up every item slot on their character. Okay, so they were just they're full. They had a weapon, a shield, every slot was filled. And then when they went to go loot their corpse, all the items that was on their corpse would have nowhere to go, so it would just drop on the ground. And then you're just sitting there like mashing your mouse one, dude. You're just sitting there mashing your mouse one with your inventory like cleared so you can pick up all their items. And
that's brutal, man.
It's definitely brutal.
Brutal.
That's super old school, man. That was like the original scam.
Yeah.
I did that. I didn't do that. I'll be honest. I never did that to anybody other than a friend, and I gave all his items back because I actually did. I do have a moral compass, and I do feel bad.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I do have a moral compass, and I do feel bad when I do that. People, I got scammed big time. Another time that like you got to remember, I was in like 4th or 5th grade when I was playing Diablo 2, and there was an option in Diablo 2 where you could click on somebody and it would make it so they were able to loot your body. After they killed you in PvP, they're able to loot all your stuff off your body. And I accidentally clicked on it. I accidentally clicked on it on somebody. I had no idea that I clicked on it, and I went out and fought this guy, and I had Ice Blink, like this really like popular armor at the time that was worth a lot, and like all these other really good items, and he killed me, he took all my stuff, and I was devastated, dude. And I was trying to get this guy to give me my items back, and I was so sad, and like he wouldn't. He said he wasn't going to, and I was like, fuck. So I learned my lesson there. But
lesson learned.
Yeah, lesson learned for sure. And another popular kind of scamming method, which honestly, if you fall for this, man, like you should get scammed. I'll just say that you should get scammed. It was both of you have a trade window opened up, so you're both seeing the stuff. You put the item in you want to trade for, okay? And you both have to check the green checkmark box, okay? You both the person you're wanting to trade with checks it. You take your item, you put it out, and then you put an item in that looks exactly like it graphically. The
image.
Yeah, the image looks exactly like it. And then you press check mark again, and then they trade with you for an item that is like a white item, but it looks like Silks of the Victor because it has a sapphire gem in it or whatever it is. Like, come on, man. You know?
Yeah, that
like,
you're just asking for it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you're just asking for it at that point. But still, you are doing something really shitty, and I see where Jared's coming from, but I just think scamming is integral.
If that's the only enjoyment you get out of the game by like scamming people, then you're a worthless fuck. if you do it every once in a while, like just because you see like an opportunity and you take advantage of it because the other person is, you know, complacent or just not really paying attention, then it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, I can see that. I think like if you get that bored with the game, then maybe you could do something like that.
Right, but as long as you're not like logging in and like, how can I steal from people today?
Right, yeah, like scheming like all the time.
But don't you need those people? Don't you need those people?
Why?
Because it just adds like a criminal element to whatever game you're on, whatever social environment that you're in.
If those people can be punished, then I think it's okay.
I don't think
there's a punishment system.
No.
One of the reasons why I
completely
like
disagree.
Games and online games so much is because I can break from reality and live as my character. I don't want to think about like, you know.
Oh, then I know a really good game for you, Second Life.
Just join Second Life, man.
Play Second Life.
Become a furry and just, go on there.
I don't know. I know exactly what you're saying. Back in the day when those scams were happening a lot, it was pretty much the Wild West. It really was.
Exactly, yeah. The Wild West theme, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which is something I know I have a bias towards that because that's what I grew up on. You always had to be mindful of people. I mean, all the time it was always like, can I trust this guy? Like, I need a mule and my lobby's going to close. And Diablo 2. I need a mule, my lobby's going to close. Can I trust this guy to like sit in there and like with all my items on the ground? Like,
yeah, it adds an element of difficulty, I guess.
Yeah, there's
because
always a
it's like you gotta be mindful of your surroundings and of the people around you, and of course it can create like more drama, which can always be fun. But I don't know, I lean kind of both ways. I can see how that's fun, but I also just want to enjoy the game too. There's sometimes I just don't want to have to worry about other people.
Yeah,
that's why sometimes I'd rather play on a PvE server rather than a PvP server, depending on the game and how I want to take in the content.
Yeah, and I guess you can't. There isn't really like a surefire way to stop scamming. Like if there's a possibility for it, it's going to happen. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, in Path of Exile, I'll give that as an example. Path of Exile is probably the most current ARPG, and it's influenced by Diablo 2. There is scamming in Path of Exile. You can scam people in Path of Exile. It's not as intricate as it was in Diablo 2. It has to do with more like you're trusting this person and then they kind of fuck you over, which I think, honestly, I think that sucks more, is that when you are trusting a person to like trade you, like for example, you give this guy X amount of money and then he's supposed to do this. And then he doesn't do that and he just logs off and then blocks you so you can never talk to him again. Like, I think that kind of sucks. Honestly, I think that kind of sucks. But I think mechanics or systems that make it so you can get scammed, I'm kind of for, in a way.
Wait, did you say like trying to pay someone for a job and they just didn't do it?
Yeah, basically? Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so like that, I don't see any issue. I don't really see that as scamming. Like, I see that as taking advantage of an idiot who's not wanting to play the game, basically.
I totally see that as scamming because you both came to an agreement and one of them didn't uphold their side of the agreement and they scammed you, right? I mean,
you're kind of breaking terms of service in a way.
Depending on the game.
Yeah,
in Path of Exile, you're not.
Gotcha.
And the thing is, in Path of Exile, is you can't name and shame. You can't say, "Hey, this guy scammed me." Like, you cannot post that on the forums or it gets deleted, which is also kind of another problem, which is why Reddit is so popular in Path of Exile. But that's a totally different story. But I definitely think that's scamming, and there's really when someone is offering a service, there's no way to know if they're legit or not unless you go to the forums and say, yeah, this guy, and you see a bunch of comments saying, hey, this guy like really came through. So I don't know. I think if it comes to scamming, I think that's probably the worst type of scamming, is because that's the most rampant, if that makes sense. You know, like people that fall for the, hey, I drop your items over here. It's like you're asking for it. And people aren't that gullible anymore in this day and age either.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the person too. I mean, maybe you might get some kid who's that gullible. There's always that chance. Or someone who's just not aware of those kind of things. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I mean, we don't see it as much in today's gaming.
Well,
you know what I mean?
We don't,
because the systems that are put in place.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many systems in place to prevent it, and I wish there was some element of scamming back, you know, in whatever MMOs or RPGs, because I just think that adds another element, man. It's just kind of.
Well, I think it's a lot of people a lot of people have complained about it though, and I think that's why we don't see as much of it.
Of course, people are going to complain about it.
Yeah, I mean, there's people complain about everything, even like PvP and stuff. But
yeah, of course, people are going to complain about it. If I got scammed, I'd complain about it.
Should just make it like the actual Wild West and just give us all pistols. Just kill each other.
Just kill each other.
Scam me, motherfucker!
But anyways, to get back on track.
Yeah, that was a long. That was a
rant, but
that was a rant on scamming. Okay, we know everybody's views.
Brad, I want to ask Brad, what was a game that really influenced you?
Okay, besides
WoW.
Besides WoW.
We know WoW. We know everyone knows WoW.
And besides Diablo 2.
Exactly, yeah.
An MMO that really influenced me. Well, I can.
That you had a lot of fun with. That, you know, really sparked your scheming fiend.
Archeage.
Frenzy. Archeage? Okay.
Archeage, definitely. Because I'm a big PvPer, and that game had elements where you could screw over people if you really wanted to, and it had a lot of PvP in it, and it had a lot of competition, and it also had some PvE. Not much. It was pretty lackluster on the PvE, but Archeage was so fun.
I played a lot of that game, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Archeage was, we played together, and it was so fun. Like,
everything you could do in it. The naval combat, or the naval aspect of it, you know, getting in a ship and going on the seas and hunting down pirates or becoming a pirate and just wrecking everybody. I mean, that was just so much fun.
It was so much fun because you could choose whatever you wanted to be. If you wanted to be infamous, then you do infamous things, and you become this person that is like hated by the player base. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and I'll tie that into Pantheon, and that's what I'm excited for about Pantheon too. Is that people can be complete douchebags, and there's repercussions for it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I feel like as long as there is some kind of punishment or some kind of effect that you get for doing, like, you know, like griefing or something, I think it's okay as long as they have some kind of system in place.
Okay, you said system, so you think that the game should punish you instead of the people?
No, well, it should be a little bit of both. Maybe, like for example, the bounty hunter system, which I think isn't really used very much in MMOs.
I've never seen it. Someone someone commented on one of our YouTube videos saying Star Wars had a bounty system, and they were explaining it. It sounded really cool. Whoever commented that,
exactly.
Talk about it more, man. Star Wars: The Old Republic was a game that I think we were all really hyped about. I mean, were you guys really hyped about it, and did you enjoy it? What about you, Jared?
I was so hyped for it, man. Like,
yep.
As soon as I heard they had in development, I was researching everything about it. I was already creating the character I wanted to create, getting all my friends hyped about it. I really wanted it to be basically, like I really liked the Old Republic games, and I thought it was going to be a continuation of that style of gameplay, but in obviously an MMORPG setting.
Yeah, same here, man. Like I was beyond hyped for that game. One of the biggest IPs you could use, which was Star Wars, and I don't know. There's so much expectation from it, especially from the previous KOTOR games. But when I first saw it, I was a little disappointed.
Yeah,
because it wasn't KOTOR 3.
right. As soon as they said that they were using, I can't remember the engine that they used, like Epic or something weird like that. It was like it was just an engine that they bought. They didn't create it themselves.
Was it Unreal 3?
I don't think it was Unreal.
Epic does Unreal 3, I believe.
It may be, but as soon as I saw that, or read that, or whatever, I was kind of taken aback by it and realized that they weren't going in the direction that I wanted.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I played it, it just felt like a WoW clone. You know what I mean? Like a WoW clone with a bunch of voice acting.
That's what it was. And I'll say that the biggest problem they had with that game was they spent all of their budget on voice acting.
Yep.
All their budget went to voice acting.
Right, and you don't need that in MMO. If you're going to do that, just make it a single-player game.
Yep.
Yeah,
exactly.
I totally agree, man. Like, if you're really immersed, all you need to do is read. You just need to read. Like, aren't books immersive? Don't you get tied into a book when you're reading a book? How is it so different when you're reading dialogue from an NPC? Like, it's really not much different.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is definitely nowadays. I don't know exactly if it was already at the point when that game came out, but MMOs are about talking to your friends in a third-party client while you're playing the game, you know? You don't necessarily need the game to voice for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where they dumped too much money into it. I mean, I think that's why the other systems in the game suffered. And we see that a lot in MMOs. You know, well, you'll see an MMO that focuses on just one aspect, whether it be graphics or voice acting in SWTOR's case, and then other areas lack, you know, instead of being even all around.
Yeah, I'm I'm not even a Star Wars fan personally, and I was really hyped for Star Wars: The Old Republic, and it just didn't deliver on an MMO front at all. The PvP was so bad in that game. I remember it.
It was abysmal. Yeah,
they had the most stupid PvP things. There was like a ball. Was that ball tag? This was like like 8 years ago.
Hut ball or something like that.
It was so
to do with,
dumb. Oh my god.
Yeah, no, not only PvP but just combat in general was not fun. And I am a huge Star Wars fan pre The Force Awakens anyway. You know, I've read a few of the books and I really like the lore in Star Wars. But I was just not blown away at all by that game.
And I think that was BioWare's first attempt at an MMO.
Yep.
Which
that was when they sold out to EA, I believe.
Yeah, and that's probably where it tanked. Honestly,
that's what happened. That's what happened a while too. Activision took over. Once these really big, once these big publishers take over, whatever actual ideas they have go to complete trash, man. Seriously, like once you get these suits coming in and telling them, hey, the statistics say these people like this, these people like this, then it just goes really bad.
Yeah, and they lose a lot of creative freedom too.
Yeah, which is why Pantheon is looking very promising.
Yeah, they don't have those corporate heads, you know, hanging over them saying, hey, you need to pump out this at this time with this, you know, demographic in mind. They just want to do their own thing, their own little niche. And I think that's great.
Yeah, it could have been much better. Did you guys ever play Star Wars Galaxies? I didn't. I don't know if you guys did.
I tried it, and it was after the like big update they had. So basically, when you could pick to be a Jedi instead of having to go through
that's when I heard the game went really bad. It went really south.
I was the same way as Andrew. Like I just tried it, but I never really got into it.
That's too bad, man. I heard one of my friends, he played it, Dan, and he said it was one of the best MMOs he's ever played. And that was before, that's when it took like months to become a Jedi, like months and months and months. I mean, really
Oh
long
yeah,
time,
so much work. Yep.
you know, and I heard it was amazing. I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was amazing.
Well, because I mean, it was in a weird era. I think it took place during like the original saga of Star Wars, where like Jedi weren't even supposed to exist, anyways. So it makes sense for it to take like so long to become a Jedi. But yeah, they just kind of Sony threw it in the trash, just like almost every game they've done. So
Okay, so it took so long to become a Jedi. Like, don't you think that becoming something in an MMO in general, like taking that, it just takes a really long time to achieve a certain status in a game is a really good thing?
Yeah, that's what gives it credibility.
yeah, and it gives you purpose too. Like it gives you something to work towards. If everything had come so easily, or at least like even like at early levels, then like what's the point, you know?
Yeah, there isn't. I mean, it becomes everybody's the same. Like, I'm
Yeah, I
wearing a
agree.
white t-shirt. This guy's wearing a white t-shirt. Hey, what's up, man? We're all the same. And that's
Yeah.
what that's not what you want in an MMO. You want everyone to kind of be like a cog in this big machine, but there's bigger cogs out there that you're trying to aspire to be. You're aspiring to be someone more impactful in the world that you're playing.
Exactly, and those players should be rewarded, especially for the more time you put into it, the more you should, be able to feel it,
And I'll say this, right when I said that, right when I just said what I just said about the white t-shirts, is that, do you think that MMOs today are kind of compensating for people who spend less time in them to achieve certain stuff?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. MMOs have kind of evolved that way because people have kind of grown up. People who played EverQuest or even Vanilla WoW have kind of grown up, and they don't have as much time to put into the MMOs anymore. Um, I don't know the demographics of everything. Maybe there are still a bunch of kids, playing MMOs today that can, put so much time into it, to where they can advance really far within a less amount of time. But I think majority of MMO players today are older, so yeah, I mean it would make sense.
Majority of old school MMO players.
Yeah, old school. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people that would like Pantheon and stuff like
I
that.
think not only are the majority of people playing MMOs older and not have as much time, but also even the younger guys who have the amount of time to play just have shorter attention spans, and especially with the emergence of more streaming platforms, I think that the flavor of the month changes pretty quickly. So they're switching from game to game.
Yeah, totally, man. Totally. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out if that's a bad thing. I'm trying to figure out if it's a bad thing that games now are trying to make the whole experience shorter, more compact, more condensed.
I think it's not really a bad thing because there's more companies producing them. So I mean, as long as like quality, more companies start producing quality products, then it could be okay, possibly.
Yeah, and I'll touch back on Pantheon because that's the game we're most hyped about, but they know their demographic as people who played EverQuest 1, and all those people are grown up and have families or just like really hard careers where they're dedicating more than 40 hours a week and they can't no life the game anymore. So now they're making their game being 3-hour sessions, 2-hour sessions, giving you some kind of fulfillment. And I just think, I don't know, man. I have mixed feelings. I think MMOs at their heart require it to be almost a full-time job for you to really get that satisfaction and experience out of it. And that's just like not doable anymore, you know?
Yeah, again, it goes back to the whole principle like people just don't have enough time anymore, or at least us that have grown up, us in our like mid 20s, late or early 30s, whatever, who have full time jobs and kids or all that. I can understand why they would want to like shorten the amount of time to progress to cater to those kind of people, but there needs to be some room at the same time for people to just like I guess no life it.
Yeah.
But you would agree though that people like us, it'd be really hard to no life it.
Yeah, I wouldn't honestly.
I mean?
I wouldn't be able to no life it. I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't be able to no life it. But
yeah,
my point was, is that a bad thing or a good thing? And people that are listening, I want to know, what do you think? Do MMOs nowadays have to be a game that you have to know life to really achieve a lot and stand out from the rest? Or is it a game that you can only spend a couple hours a day, even an hour a day, to kind of progress and show yourself? Because honestly, I think if you're only spending an hour a day, which is even a lot in terms of me,
yeah.
Because I have a full-time job, I have a career, etc. And that's a lot of time to spend, and I can't dedicate 8 hours a day anymore. I'm not on summer break from high school where I can just know life the game, play 16 hours a day, eat once a day, sleep, wake up, keep playing again.
Yeah. Again, I think that comes with age. You know what I mean? Like, what are the companies trying to strive for? Are they trying to get the 18 to 22-year-olds that can put that amount of time in there? Or are they trying to get more of the older crowd? You know what I mean? I guess it just depends on that.
Yeah, and I know what you're saying, but what I was saying was that what makes an MMO good? What makes an MMO good when you're able to dedicate basically your life to it, that makes it good? Or can an MMO be good with only dedicating 3 hours or so? If an MMO can be good with only dedicating 3 hours or so, then what happens to people that are dedicating 10 hours a day? How are they going to stand out from the rest? From
rewarded?
Then you're just like a regular guy if you only are putting in 3 hours a day. And how are you any different?
That's a good question. Yeah.
I think it kind of comes down to what kind of recognition you want for the amount of time that you spend in it. Like if it's self-recognition, then it doesn't matter how long it takes you. But if you want like recognition from people who are playing on your server, then you're gonna have to put the time into it. And if you can't do that, then you're just gonna have to accept it. I think it should take a lot longer to achieve your goal, basically.
Yeah, it depends on what that goal is too. I mean, are you trying to just get the best armor or the best weapons, or you know what I mean, like trying to be the most powerful?
Yeah, it's totally subjective. It really is. I just had the question of whether it's gonna make an MMO to what it used to be. MMOs that I remember, it was you needed to dedicate your life to it. And if you weren't dedicating your life to it, then you weren't going to stand up. You weren't going to be one of the main people on the server. You weren't going to be one of the people that all the other people who aren't dedicating all their time strive to become. And that was the thing. It was always striving to become one of the elites. And the people that put all their time into it knew exactly how the game should progress, in a way. Yeah. Maybe not totally, but in a way, I firmly believe that the elite players, and I say that in quotes, are the people that you should design the game around, because they're the ones that are reaching the end game. They're the ones that are doing all the content. They're the ones that they know how hard it should be for them. So
I agree. And the other players will get there eventually, and that's okay.
Exactly.
Well, just gonna say, like, when it comes to progressing, I think it should be kind of like an optional thing. Like, if you want to put the time into it, then you should be rewarded for it. But at the same time, if you want to kind of space it out because of time restrictions or whatever, then you should also see some kind of progression. Like, not like a huge amount, not as much as a person who would put, like, 8 hours a day in, but there needs to be something there to keep you, you know, or to have you come back to, I guess.
Yeah. Do you think it's weird that I'm not somebody who can put in 8 hours a day anymore? Like, it's just not.
Right.
It's just not possible for me. Do you think that's weird that I'm almost asking for a game that people who put in 8 hours a day are the ones that?
Yeah, kind of.
go
I mean,
above?
like, the MMO genre has changed a lot. It's evolving, and I think it should keep evolving. And I think it has to consider people's time. Um, I think when it comes to games that you have to put a lot of time in, I think that'd be even more of a niche. You know what I mean? Like, I think that Pantheon, for example, I feel like Pantheon is going to require a good amount of time, not as much as, say, like EverQuest, because they've even touched on that. They even said, like, for example, going from an evil character to a good character wouldn't take as long, as it would in EverQuest. But
And I completely agree with that. Like, we can still root for those people who have the time to put into it, and we can still enjoy the game through them, so to speak.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was just curious, to be honest, whether you guys thought an MMO required you to have all of this time invested in it for it to be a good MMO.
I think so, yes.
I think so too, but honestly, I also have a bias because all the MMOs that I played that were fantastic required you to put in a lot of time. So maybe they could do something where you don't have to put in a lot of time and it's still a really good experience and a really good MMO, but I also see the shortcomings of what it could be.
Yeah, I mean, unless some developers can figure out some new model for an MMO, like I think all it means is you're just gonna have to delay your gratification. Basically, it's not gonna be as instant as it used to be when you could spend 8+ hours a day playing a video game.
Yeah. So, did you guys play Runes of Magic? Because I know I played Runes of Magic quite a bit. Me and Andrew played Runes of Magic, and we teamed up. Did you play it, Jared?
No, sir. I don't even know what that is, honestly.
Well, it's probably for the best.
Yeah. It was basically a WoW clone. It was, I think, as far as I'm concerned, the first WoW clone that I was aware of. I mean, from top to bottom, it was just like WoW. I mean, even graphically, even though the graphics sucked compared to WoW, it was basically WoW.
Can we say that it was like an Asian MMO, wasn't it?
I believe it was. I'm not
No.
100% sure on that.
I'm almost positive.
Yeah, I think it was.
It was an Asian MMO.
And they had a few different things. Like, I know there was a dual classing system. There was open world PvP. I don't think there was any races. I think there was just like you just picked a human, and then you picked a class, and eventually you dual classed after like level 5 or something. But that game, I know me and Brad had a lot of fun in because we griefed the hell out of that game. And yeah, I mean, like, do you remember what we did, Brad?
Oh, okay. So this kind of goes back to scamming. I love causing conflict in games. I feel like MMOs, they're there for conflict and other things that happen rather than you just logging in and grinding mobs. Like having that kind of player conflict between people adds a totally different element to it, to where it gives you an actually like a human response to it, and it kind of sucks you in a little bit more Would you guys disagree or agree?
No, general chat is the best.
Yeah.
Okay. So I remember when me and Andrew played, and what we would do is we would join a guild, okay? And right when we joined, I would whisper him saying, "Hey, I'm this level like 45 rogue, and I can really help out with your
when
guild."
you're really like level like 2 or something.
Yeah, I'm like level 3. And they invite me because they don't check what level I am. So I get invited, and right when I get invited, I take a screenshot of the guild info, and I get all their like TeamSpeak info, all their VoIP info, and then they're like, "What the hell? You're not level 43 like you said you were. We're kicking you." So they're kicking me in like 5 seconds, but by then I already got all their info. So I'd get all their info, and I would join in their TeamSpeak, and then I'd invite Andrew, and like me and Andrew would be in there, and we're like, "Hey guys, we're from this other guild, like, fuck you," like just talking all this trash, and we were pretending to be this other guild, and then all of a sudden we just started a guild war.
Yeah, like we took one guild and that we saw, and we pretended to be them, so we could start a war between them.
Oh, and they were talking so much trash. It was awesome, and we just started this guild war, and we were just two random guys, just having fun.
This was like trolling before trolling was even a thing.
Yeah, we were.
We'd really go in there and be like, "I'm the Hamburglar," and these people would eat it up. They were like, "Hey man, how's it going?" And like, "Oh yeah, it's just great,"
Can we just go do this right now? This sounds like so much fun.
Oh, it was the best, man. I wish I recorded it. I really do wish I recorded it. And we got these guilds that hate each other. But what also was another nice thing is that I would be on their guild chat, and they would think I was someone in the guild. I would just find someone who hadn't logged on for a while, and I was like, "Hey, I'm this guy." I would tell them that. I'm like, "I'm Sharpshooters, whatever." Actually, that's the name that Andrew took for one of the guilds.
No, it was I Heals. And I went on there. I took a name, and I went on the chat, and I was like, "Hey guys, I'm I Heals. What's up? What's going on?" They're like, "Oh yeah, man, what's going on, dude?" And I don't know. We were talking for a little bit, and they're like, "Hey, one of the other guild person, like I forgot his name. He was like, "Hey, I Heals is my brother," and I was like, "Well, this is awkward."
I lost it because my comrade Andrew he got called out on it, and I just lost it, dude. I started laughing so hard.
And then we yelled, all kinds of stuff at him, like "fuck you." And then I think the guild we had, it was a great name that will go down in history, and that was the Rapists. That was our guild name.
Therapists. Yeah.
Oh. The Rapists.
Mind you, I almost feel bad now because we were so much older now. So I feel like we're not as immature as we used to be. This was back when we were like 18 years old, okay?
I'm still just as immature, by the way.
This was back when we were 18 years old. I know, but I think a lot of people who want to play Pantheon listen to our channel, and they think like, "Oh, goddamn, I don't want these people playing our game." Trust me, we've matured a lot since then, but we have a lot of good stories about previous.
We had a lot of fun with it though, and we ended up causing all kinds of guild wars.
Oh man, I was a rogue. Okay, so I did this covert op thing. They never caught me. They caught you. And I never said anything.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, they caught you. Yeah, they caught you.
Yeah,
they called you out, and then you were talking about our guild. Anyways, I would listen to them talking while I was ganking them, and they would think, they thought I was someone else, but I was really, Dirty Houdini, and I was going around ganking them. They're like, "Dirty Houdini, he's at this location. He's at this location." And I would hear them. It was like being in war with someone and listening to all their all their radio frequencies, listening to all their communication. So I would just go over to this location. This guy would say, "Hey, I'm over here like questing," and I'd be like, "Okay, thank you." And I'd go and gank him. And the nice thing about Runes of Magic is when you killed someone, there actually was a chance for them to drop like a piece of gear. So you would kill them and get like one of their pieces of gear. It was like one of the most
Yeah,
perfect
you could
griefing
bind
games.
the items. Like you could make it so only like a certain items would drop, but you had to pick and choose like which
Mm-hmm.
ones, like your boots or your
Mm-hmm.
gloves or something. But yeah, I mean, yeah, something would drop. I remember I there was literally I don't know if it was a bug or something, but I would go into a town and there would be someone standing there just like AFK, and I would just kill them on the spot. like they're not there, so I just kill them, and the guards wouldn't aggro or anything for some
Dude,
reason. I think it was
you were such a rat, dude.
yeah, and then I would take their boots or their or their like gloves or something.
Oh, oh man, I want to talk about that. Okay, so we talked about our mischievousness in Runes of Magic. Okay.
Yeah.
We definitely weren't good people in that game. But then again, that game had no systems. It had no community. It really didn't. It was just
No.
it was just like crappy free to play WoW clone, and we were just having fun in it and like griefing people. Nothing like that in Pantheon would happen. Like I really want to be a part of the community in Pantheon. And I want to talk about the dropping loot on dying. I think that's
Yeah.
like a terrible
Right.
system, man.
It is. I mean, especially when we work so hard to get an item and then something happens, someone kills you and then takes it. Then you're like, well, I spent all that time for nothing. So I don't think it's necessary.
I don't think it's necessary either. I'm all for hardcore stuff. I love if I play an ARPG, I play the hardcore mode. When I die, I lose my character. I love all that stuff. But in an MMO, you just put so much time and effort into getting your items. You run this place like X amount of times to just get that one drop, and then all of a sudden you lose it because some asshole ganked you, like me.
Yeah.
I'm that asshole. Definitely don't
We
think it's
were
fair.
that asshole.
Yeah, yeah, we were. That's very good. I'm glad you corrected me. Definitely not like that anymore. I just had my fun. I was a young kid, right?
Yeah, like you said, it was a free to play MMO. There were so many things to take advantage of. And why wouldn't you?
That's true, man. It was a free to play MMO, so I
They
think that with MMOs that you have to pay to play, you act a certain way. You know that this isn't such a waste of your time anymore because you are paying to play it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. hmm
So
Well, also with those free to play games, like I know Runes of Magic had some kind of they had a punishment system, right? Like they had.
they did. I got punished really hard.
what was it again? Do you remember what it was?
Hard. I remember if you ganked enough people, if you killed enough people, you became flagged. And I believe there was different tiers. And if you reached, every tier you had like a percent drop of certain items. Everybody was flagged against me, and anytime they killed me, I would drop an item. And I got camped. Dude. Like I literally had no items. I would have to not play the game. I couldn't play
because
the
anyone
game.
could attack you.
Yeah, anyone could attack me, and I would drop all my items. And I think that system sucked, dude. I think Archeage had the best system where when you committed enough crimes, in quotes, where you killed like your own faction, it would leave a blood splat and then people could report it. And after it got reported so many times, you would go to a jury. Go to a jury first.
Well, a jury first, yeah.
Yeah, and the jury was actual real people who you could communicate to saying, hey, this is what happened. And of course you were always condemned. You were never innocent. No way you were ever innocent unless your guildmates were in there. And you would go to jail for like X amount of time. And I loved us. I think that's such a good system for a game like that.
It is, yeah. I mean, because if you're going to do, or at least commit crimes like that, then there should be something waiting for you. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just go unpunished, I think.
Yeah, Yes. I think Archeage handled it the best because they didn't punish you in a way that took away your items, and also it was globally advertised. There was a chat called the trade, or not the trade, I'm sorry, like jury chat or judge chat or whatever it was, courtroom chat. And everyone could read what you were saying, so it became kind of this like public affair. And if you were in court all the time, you became notorious. Everyone, you like, people knew your name, and if they saw you, they'd probably kill you just because you were in there and like, multiple times, which was awesome.
I plead guilty every time. But it never worked.
So that was our experience with Runes of Magic. What else, man? We talked about Archeage a bit. There was basically just a lot of ganking and friendly fire in Archeage. And Runes of Magic, we did the same thing, but we took it to a step further.
I don't know. What other games you guys played?
I played Lord of the Rings. That was back in the day.
Lord of the Rings for mine. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. They didn't have much PvP in it. It was mostly PvE. It was a PvE centric game. They had some really cool stuff in it. I thought the graphics were fantastic. The combat was pretty good. I really enjoyed.
I think the instrument system was really cool.
Dude, the instrument system was like one of the best. I had never experienced it before, and being able to pick up a lute or a flute or the drums and just like being able to press on your keyboard and you are
actually play music.
Yeah, you're actually playing music. All these people can hear you. It was so cool, man. And like people would come together and have bands.
Yeah, I remember that. Yep.
That was so cool.
There was another
man.
game that had a really good like DJ system in it. It was called Club Penguin.
Club Penguin. I never played that. I'm not gonna lie.
Are you serious right now? Are you joking?
I don't know, man.
Is he or is he not? I mean, you gotta guess.
It's a mystery. Someone Google Club Penguin. I think.
Pretty sure I got banned after like 10 minutes. I don't know.
Banned of what game?
Club Penguin.
I'm about ready to ban you right now.
Do it. No balls.
Oh man, like I know. Well, let's talk about Korean MMOs.
Okay.
Because I know Brad, you played quite a bit.
Jared, did you play any Korean MMOs?
I think I might have tried one, but not really.
Did you try Aion?
I did try Aion.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
All
okay.
three of us
That's good.
tried Aion then.
I remember Aion was supposedly one of the WoW killers, as they're called.
Every game that came out after.
Yeah, I remember that time. Like everyone was saying, "Oh, this is gonna be a WoW killer."
Nothing can kill WoW.
I remember when WoW came out, or Aion came out. It had some interesting, stuff in it, like the whole wing thing, the angel wings, and you can fly around. But other than that, I mean, did it really stand out?
No, not really. They had a really weird system in that game where you could only do a dungeon X amount of times per day. There was only you could only do 2 runs of an instance per day, and it locked you out. And it felt so artificial. It was so strange. If I'm in a game and I'm wanting to do something, why is the game telling me that I can't? Because of a random timer. It logs me. At least give me like some kind of a resource that I have to put into the dungeon to do. And make that kind of like a gate or something to slow people down. Don't make it just like a system that says, "Hey, you did this 2 times during this like time period, so we're not going to let you until 4 hours from now." It was so weird and artificial. I hated it, man. That was one of the things.
I'm not sure why they did that, but
yeah, I don't know why they did that either. That was one of the reasons I stopped playing that game. Other than that, I actually had quite a bit of fun in that game.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. I mean, the animations were great. The graphics were great. And that's typical of Korean MMOs, right? I mean, they'll have all that stuff, the animations, graphics at least. But it still kind of felt a little bit WoW-ish, in terms of combat and everything.
Oh, it was a complete WoW clone. And that was the thing is like if you experienced WoW at its fullest, anything that became a clone of WoW it can never live up to its standards because so it just fell. It just never held your attention. Maybe it got a little bit of your money, but it never got that much of your money.
Yep.
And we talked about Archeage. That was another Korean MMO that was kind of imported by Tryon, and they completely screwed it. But
they did.
Yeah.
I can go on forever about that game, but
so could I. Well, we didn't talk about Archeage as in how Tryon really screwed it over. We talked about how we had fun in Archeage and our experiences, but how did Tryon really screw over Archeage?
Well, it was really just like a lot of it was the cash shops. I don't know. They just made it so artificial. I know in the Korean release it was subscription based, which that's what I was hoping for. You know, then Tryon got it, and then they turned it into a free to play with a cash shop, and I can't. I know it probably wasn't like pay to play or pay to win.
It was almost essentially pay to.
Was it?
I know it became pay to win because
I didn't buy anything off of it. So
if you bought chess, they had a chance to drop Thunderstruck logs, and Thunderstruck logs were needed to create like really high end materials, like the galleons, like these really high end ships that could sail really fast and have all this armor and etc. And you needed these Thunderstruck logs, and you need Thunderstruck logs for like certain like tractors or whatever it was. And they incorporated Thunderstruck logs into these loot crates that you could just buy. So all of a sudden, Thunderstruck logs were like 200 gold, and they dropped to like 20 gold because people could just buy them. And then all of a sudden it became like, well, what the hell? Like, you just destroyed this part of the game. And then I heard they just went on more and more and more and more. Like, I honestly think Tryon knew the game was dying out because they handled it so poorly. So they were just trying to milk as much money out of the player base as they could. That's what I really think what happened. I mean, it's evident.
Oh yeah, it was huge cash milk, you know.
And they released the game. They released the game as in like in Korea, the game had already been in its next expansion. And they released the game way before that. They released the game as it was in a beta of the expansion, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There was so much missing content that they held back to just a year from now. They all of a sudden they released this new content to get this new wave of players in. It was just handled so poorly. The game could have lasted so much longer. It really could have, because it had so much social interactions in it. Guilds were like super important in that game.
Yep.
And that's what keeps people logging in, you know?
I agree. Jared, I know you played, what was it, RuneScape a lot?
Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, what do you want to know about it exactly?
What made RuneScape so exciting for you to keep playing it all this time?
Originally, I guess it was the fact that the level 99 cap seemed so far away, and anyone who was able to get it was looked upon as, like, at least in the beginning, as kind of like a godly mythical creature. But now we know it was just someone who was able to spend a lot of time playing the game.
Yep.
I mean, there's been strategies over time that have emerged that people have been able to achieve higher level 99 in a lot shorter amount of time. But besides that, it still takes a long time. And once they released the 07 version again, and I think it was 2011 or 2010, something like that, Jagex continued to release patches and updates for the game based on what the community wanted, and it was able to develop as its own game separate from RuneScape 3, you know, and I think that's what made it such a great game, and it still is today, honestly.
Yeah, the only experience I had with it was, what's the newest version? Do you know?
RuneScape 3. But
Yeah, that's the one I tried.
gotcha. Yeah, that's complete shit in my opinion.
Yeah,
It's
I wasn't into it. It was just kind of like a click based game. Like you move with the mouse, right?
right, and RuneScape was originally that. It's the thing that killed it was Evolution of Combat, EOC, and they kind of tried to expand the game past its limits. In my opinion, they didn't stay true to what made RuneScape such a great game to begin with.
Yeah, they went in a completely different direction.
Right.
And I tried playing RuneScape the classic version, and I didn't give it enough time, to be honest, but it didn't really draw me in.
It does have a PvP aspect to it that can be kind of immersive, but the main draw of it is it's just a grindy game. It has it has a bunch of quests in it that are really intrinsic, but the main aspect of the game is very grindy, and like whenever I would play it, I would a lot of times be watching something on my other monitor, so I mean it's not super like it doesn't take a lot of your attention all the time.
I hate games like that, man. I shouldn't say I hate games like that, but games like that I just lose interest in so much. And I'll go back to Path of Exile because that's the game I've been playing for so long. I've been playing the game for over 5 years now. And a comment by the main developer said that I think Path of Exile should be a game that you play while you're watching TV. And I was like, man, doesn't that mean that the game that means that the game's not very interactive and that's not holding your attention? So why am I even playing it?
Right, when you can just like multitask, do other things instead of having your attention fully on that.
Yeah, it's just like it just takes you out of the game so much. It's not immersive. It doesn't hold you into it at all.
Yeah, I mean that's true, but it kind of fulfills a niche.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't have the time or don't want to spend the time focusing on one particular thing.
Right.
Yeah, that's just the age we live in, basically.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I always look towards games for me to. I have 2 monitors. I want to turn off my second monitor, so I'm just focusing on this one monitor, and just zoned in on this game and playing it, and it has all my attention. When I was playing WoW, when I was totally sucked into it, I had like music going in the background. That was right. It. I was never watching a podcast or watching YouTube videos or had a movie on. Watching a movie.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, everyone's different, I guess. There's some people out there who, I guess, play and can do all that stuff, but
yeah, there definitely is people that can play and do all that stuff. But I think if you're saying that I want my game to be like this, if I want my game to be a game where you watch other stuff and have your attention split on 2 things, like, come on. Is it really that impactful? Is it something you're really going to stick around with? Not really, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, it just depends on what your target audience is, Like, I watch a lot of streamers on Twitch, and one guy, CJ Ride, was kind of explaining how Taiwanese mobile phone gamers like games that you don't have to interact with at all. You just kind of click one menu item and then watch the gameplay itself, So
yeah, it's like auto play.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure. Why not have a bot play for you then?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of stupid too to some degree, but I'm just saying, like, it just depends on what the intention is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is there any other games you want to add to this list, Brad?
Any other MMOs that I can think of that I played recently?
There's always Terra online.
There was Terra. Did you really play? I played Terra for like.
Yeah, it didn't hold my interest very long. Yeah,
the combat was cool.
I I really like the combat. I feel like MMOs should move towards more of an action combat. I think that's just a natural progression.
That came out in like what, 2011, right?
Probably.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What
I
about
remember looking into it, but I never actually sat down and played it.
what about Age of Conan?
I never played Age of Conan, actually.
Never really looked into it or cared for it.
I played Age of Conan a lot. I actually had a lot of fun in that game, and it was because of the PvP and the combat system. Like it was a new combat system to me at that time. There was things called like, I can't remember the technical term for it, but it was like priming your abilities to like hit your opponent. So there was a lot of skill in that action combat, and I thought it was really cool, but it didn't suck me in that much, probably just because of the universe. I really like medieval fantasy, high fantasy games. Those are my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't really suck me into that. I really don't know of any action combat MMO that is really popular.
Well, I mean, there's DC Universe Online, which is...
Yeah, that's not very popular.
Well, okay. I don't know about now, but it was.
Was it?
Yeah. I mean, it's on a lot of systems. It's not just on PC. It's on PS3, PS4, Xbox. I mean, it's still going. So, I mean, there is a fan base.
If it's still going, then it's still making money, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's just the way MMO should go in the future. You know, instead of tab target, it should just be action. But I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I'm iffy on that. I like tab target, but at the same time, I do like action style combat. I think that's definitely more immersive. I mean, not necessarily more immersive, but it requires more of your attention, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you need to be focused more on it. Like, it's more strategic, I guess.
I guess I haven't seen any game do it really, really well.
You know, what game would you say would be the biggest disappointment to you?
Warhammer
Soldier.
Online, dude.
Gary says Wartor?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That's a valid reason.
And then Warhammer Online would be second, probably.
Yeah, Warhammer Online. Since I wasn't that into Star Wars, since it's a science fantasy genre, which I'm not too into, but I do appreciate.
What about WildStar?
Oh, I forgot about WildStar. Yeah.
Never heard of it.
You never heard of WildStar? That was basically a game that was science. It was like a science fiction-ish theme, kind of.
It's sci-fantasy, more like
sci-fantasy. That's a good way to put it. And it promised a lot of vanilla WoW mechanics, and it just promised to bring back that vanilla WoW experience. And it completely failed. It was so bad, dude. It was so bad. I was so hyped about the game.
One of the biggest fails, yeah.
It really was, man.
I feel like we need to create a counter of how many games, obviously specifically MMOs that have boasted about being either a WoW killer or the next WoW.
Yeah.
It's kind of ridiculous.
Or an evolution of WoW, yeah.
Isn't that sad, though, that they have to bring up WoW? They have to say, hey, we're a WoW killer, we're the next WoW, and it's just like, no, you're not.
It's almost like World of Warcraft is a genre in and of itself.
Exactly. That's such a good way to point it. That's such a good way to put it. The thing I've learned from all these years of playing MMOs is that never listen to what the developers say. Until you actually get your hands on the game, that's when you can make your own decision. And hopefully it's in beta where you're not spending any money. Because if you have to spend money, and I'll throw that back to Pantheon, is that they're doing a level 1 to 10 system where you can play for free. I think it's 1 to 10. It could be something else. I don't know if it's set in stone, but being able to play that game for free and actually try it out it's a relief, man. It really is a relief. Because that game could totally suck. I mean, we'll put that out there. It could totally suck. I don't think it will be. I don't think it will suck, but it totally could. And them giving us the option to play it for free tells me that they have a certain level of confidence in their product that a lot of people will actually like it.
I just had a really depressing thought. What if every original genre of video game has already been produced?
Original genre?
Like the original of the genre, I guess. Like, what if there's no new genres of games that will come out ever again?
That'd be incredibly sad.
It's true. That could happen. I've thought about that too, and you have to wait for the next step to happen. I mean, I think VR is the next step.
But
Yeah, there's always room for something new. I mean, someone just has to think about it or, incorporate it into something, but
will it be something completely new, or will it just be an accumulation of different aspects of all the genres that are already created in their bases?
It will have to be an accumulation.
That saddens me a little bit. Like, I'm glad that we were alive for the birth of all of them, but at the same time, like, we were already around for those, and so it's never going to be the same.
yeah, I mean, it's going to take something big to, I don't know, get over this hurdle, I guess. That's why, again, going back to EverQuest Next, I mean, they were talking about incorporating mechanics and systems that were never in place before. It was something completely brand new, and that's why I was so hyped for it. But, a lot of people were saying that it was just a scam, I guess, like Sony was just putting out a product to just try to sell their company. But I don't know. I still feel like there's room for something new to come around.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about EverQuest Next had this whole like voxel based system where you could actually dig through and go to these different tiers.
Everything
of
was
levels.
destructible.
Yeah, everything was destructible. You could like build your own things, and there'd be maybe PvP about it, like guild castles or whatever it may be. Yeah, I definitely think there's some room. I don't know if anyone's taking the risk to do it though. To be honest,
because taking a risk could also mean losing money.
Oh, big time, man!
And I think that's why a lot of companies, and a lot of companies strive away from that, because they just don't want to put the money or time into it. And they just want to stick with something that's familiar that will sell.
Yeah, that's too bad. If you're a developer listening, you should take a huge risk and create something completely brand new.
Exactly, yeah.
It'd be awesome.
Now, I think Visionary Realms is doing something good, which is they're saying they want to step backwards and look at the old MMOs, the originals like EverQuest and stuff, and kind of make a game around that because they think that was the best model. And there's some truth to that, like the social aspects, the challenging aspects, all that stuff. And that's great. And I think they will definitely fill that niche. But I think there also needs to be someone else who goes, okay, we're going to go forward and try to create something new that no one has ever seen before.
Yeah. And bringing it back to Pantheon is that's a game that I never really got to experience. I never got to really experience EverQuest 1 in its entirety. So looking forward to that.
Yep. And then, there's other stuff in the works too. Like, what is that? Ashes of Creation?
Yeah, I've watched a little bit about that. It seems intriguing. I've heard from the people that have played the game at the shows that they did that it wasn't fantastic in terms of the combat, but we'll see. I want to do a lot of more research on that and talk about that in the next episode. Definitely.
Yep. Mm-hmm. There's a lot to cover still.
Yeah, there is. But Unless you guys got anything else to add with other MMOs that you played, I think that's a wrap.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many other MMOs I can go on about, but basically what I'm trying to say is like, I just want something new, something that will keep me, I don't know, around. And I think Pantheon will fill that itch, but we'll have to see more of it for sure.
Yeah, I think Pantheon will as well.
To be honest, you guys are starting to hype me up for Pantheon. I'm hoping it fulfills that itch
Dude,
within me as
you
well.
never played like EverQuest, like a real original MMO, and they're taking this real original MMO and they're kind of developing it a little bit further and putting kind of modern twists on it, and even
modernizing it.
it's even some new mechanics. So it's gonna be kind of a totally different experience for you.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm so excited for something completely original to pique my interest.
Same here, man. That's why I'm looking forward to it the most. So with that, I think that wraps up the episode, guys. I want to thank I want to thank both of you for joining me. I had a lot of fun. This was a lot of fun doing this. Just kind of ranting and raving, right?
Tonight was fun.
Definitely. Before I log out, all the people who have left us comments on our YouTube channel, giving us criticism, I just want to say thank you. Seriously, the reason why we make these episodes is to communicate with the community and get feedback, and you guys do a really great job. I love you guys. Even people who are leaving the negative feedback, seriously, keep it coming. I love you guys.
We want it. We want to be criticized. Yeah,
absolutely, man. And this is always a work in progress. We're doing everything, but
can't get better unless you tell us what we're doing wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. So I appreciate it, guys. Keep it coming. And joining me was Jared and Andrew. My name is Brad. Once again, this is the Fantasy Forge cast, logging out.